Hey guys, welcome back to another Bums Blitz video. I am your host, The Bum. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. Just click that little red button down below. And while you're there, give me a thumbs up because you know the video is going to be good and it helps out a ton. We're going to try to get to 20 thumbs up this week, so help out. Click the little thumbs up right now. Let's do this. All right, week 5, sit starts. Let's go. Alrighty, so I'm going to try to do something a little bit new this week. I'm going to try to give you guys some Fanduel tips as well as I go throughout the video. Obviously, still sit, start, we'll do that, and add a couple more players at the end real quick. Not going to take a ton of time to talk about them, but yeah, let's try to get into that. All right, so first player I want to talk about is Carson Wentz. He's going up against the second worst defense against quarterbacks in Detroit. He's been playing really well. The team seems to be clicking. You know, the rookie quarterbacks have really been playing well, and he seems to have a good grasp on, the NFL game. He also has had 2 weeks to prepare for this, so I really think that this week is a good week to play Carson Wentz if you haven't already started to. Good buy filler, so definitely think about playing him if you had a chance to pick him up. He may even be taken already. Who knows? Maybe still on the waivers. I would check. But, yeah, definitely going to start him against Detroit. Going to put up a good amount of points. You know, Mariota put up a 17. Hoyer put up a 19. And then everybody else had, there was a 35 and, a 27 points. So, definitely Carson Wentz, someone I definitely want to talk or play. Sorry, I was thinking about how many times I said definitely, though. But I'm going to keep it in because I want to keep rolling. Anyways, next up, Stafford. Definitely do not want to play him this week. Going up against the Eagles, who are the #1 defense against quarterbacks this year. I guess I stayed in the same game as I just talked about. But, the Eagles are the real deal on defense, and they're playing really well. And I just don't see Stafford putting up a lot of points. He's been doing really well this year. But he has a tendency to, force passes and kind of get out of his game. And I think a good defense will be able to take him out of that game, that short pass, high percentage type stuff. They'll force him to make some plays, especially with the fact that, they're not running very well right now. They've lost some of their running backs. We don't know if Washington is going to play just yet. He seems to be a little bit banged up. And we don't know if Riddick could really be a 3-down back. So definitely think about not playing him. If you were playing him already, chances are you pick someone before him and, you just, you picked him up off waivers or you picked him late. And you have the option of playing somebody else. So I would definitely think about doing that if that were, an option to me. All right, next I want to talk about a couple Fanduel type players. Matt Ryan been playing really well, but I would definitely sit him against Denver. They're away. He's a different player away, so look at that. Don't play him in Fanduel. I know that he just put up 500 yards, but I don't think he's going to do that again this week. Eli, I think, is going to have a great game against Green Bay. Green Bay is pretty weak against quarterbacks and wide receivers, and there's just going to be a ton of throwing in that game. So definitely think that Eli would be a nice play at the price. All right. Running backs. Let's get into our running backs real quick. Terrance West, first one I want to talk about, going up against Washington, who is not very good against the run. He's the lead back right now. He had 100 yards last week, so that's all good. Definitely think he'll get some play this week, so definitely think about playing him. All right, the next person I want to get into is Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy is going up against the New York Giants, which have been pretty good against the run this year. They've kept every one of their running backs under, 50 yards just about. I think there was only one that got over, which was last week with McKinnon. Limited number of touchdowns, and then Eddie Lacy hasn't scored a touchdown this year. He did have 100 yards last year, but, each week before that's been 60 or 50. He hasn't really been doing all that much. Just like the last couple of years, he's kind of been starting off slow. And I think against this defense, especially in a game like this where it's going to be a ton of throwing, Eddie Lacy might have a rough game. So definitely think about, if you have the option, if you picked Eddie Lacy, chances are you may have a Melvin Gordon or a Hyde, somebody like that if you picked wide or running backs early on or late. No, sorry, mid. My bad. But think about, making that change for the week. All right, so a player that might be good for Fanduel this week is DeAndre Washington. Now with Murray banged up a little bit. He's been showing off that he can run the ball. He's over 6 yards a clip. He hasn't got a ton of rushes. I don't think he's gotten double digits yet, but he could be a sneaky play this week, especially if Murray, is either limited or out of the game. It's a FanDuel play. I wouldn't play him unless you're in a real deep league for, a seasonal thing, but definitely think about him as a play. Maybe wait till later on in the week when you get more on Murray, because Murray is definitely going to be the lead back, but he has been losing carries to these running backs. And, if it wasn't for the touchdowns, Murray wouldn't even really be doing much. So he's also a sell high. Maybe do a video on that. That's my phone. But yeah, definitely think about that for DeAndre Washington. So for wide receivers, we got Emmanuel Sanders. I think he has a great matchup this week against the Atlanta Falcons, my Atlanta Falcons, and it hurts to even put them in there or say anything bad about them, but got to be honest with you guys, don't think that they're going to come up with the win this week. They're going away to Denver, and they're definitely a different team away from Atlanta. So I think that Emmanuel Sanders has a great matchup. He will be facing their number 2 cornerback, most likely. I think Trufant will spend most of his time on Demaryius Thomas, and that's pretty good news for Emmanuel Sanders. He's been playing really well, and if he could draw the other cornerbacks on that team, then it's a win for him, because Atlanta is a bottom 10 team, even with Trufant. They're a bottom 10 team against wide receivers. They've given up 6 touchdowns this year to wide receivers, and I don't see it ending anytime soon. They've always had their struggles on defense, and it goes in the favor of Emmanuel Sanders this week. Now, this is all depending on if Simeon plays. If he doesn't play, then I may reconsider what I'm telling you right now. It does look like he will play. He's sore. It's a non-throwing arm injury. So hopefully he gets back out there, and hopefully he could play out through the whole game, because once Simeon got out last week, Emmanuel Sanders was kind of non-existent. So they have a real nice chemistry together, and I believe it will continue on this week as long as Simeon plays. All right, next player is Will Fuller. Now, Will Fuller is going up against Minnesota's defense, and I don't feel good about any player going up against Minnesota's defense. You have to see this team if you haven't. They are the real deal, and I think that Will Fuller, one of those players that people have been plugging in, and it's been the pleasant surprise of the year. Definitely, they're not going to be happy this week. The Minnesota Vikings have been the best defense in the league for the most part. I know Philadelphia is there too, but with what they have on that team, they've been able to completely shut out a top 10 wide receiver in my eyes in Kelvin Benjamin. And they've given up 1 touchdown this year against wide receivers. They haven't let anybody go over 80 yards. They've given up 13 points a game to wide receivers. That's as a team, collectively 13 points a game. So definitely would think about sitting Will Fuller. You have to have somebody that you wanted to play before him, in the beginning of the season. So I'm assuming you have somebody else that you could put in there. Hopefully you do. If you don't, I'm sorry, because he's not going to be doing very well this week. So, also, my note for FanDuel. This is for FanDuel only, okay? Because you're going to play this player no matter what in all your leagues, unless you're super deep, and I don't know how you could be any deeper. I don't know. But do not play Julio Jones in your fantasy football FanDuel stuff, okay? I'm just telling you that right now. Don't play him. I told you not to play Matt Ryan. Same thing goes. Talib there. Denver is the real deal on defense as well. We're talking about a lot of defensive teams. And, I've told you to sit Kelvin, in the beginning of the year because he's facing Denver. Well, obviously Julio is better, but it's just, if Kelvin didn't score that touchdown, then it would have been a different day. It's like a 6-point day. So, Julio coming off of a big game, they're going to have a lot of focus on Julio. I think they'll try to force Matt to go to somebody else, and they could do that, especially with the team, the type of defensive backs that they have. And then that rush is just, I mean, Matt Ryan has always had issues, getting protection. They've been a lot better this year, but that rush that Denver has is just too much. So definitely think that Julio is one of those players that the price, remember, when you're thinking about Fanduel, it's always about, is the price worth what you'll get out of them? So he could still score 10 points. That's still not worth that like 9,000 price tag. So definitely think about not playing him this week. All right, so on to my tight end this week. I want to talk about is Martellus Bennett with Brady back. Then we have, there's another reason Brady's back, and then the last is just Brady's back. Oh, and not that Brady's back, but they're playing Cleveland. So, no, Brady is back. He's going to toss the ball around. I'm assuming he's going to want to hit his tight end, and Gronk is not really that healthy yet. The news came out that his hamstring is just not right, and it's just Martellus Bennett plays a position that Tom Brady likes to focus on, and he's an athletic guy. So I definitely think with him out and the soft matchup that they have, Martellus Bennett is definitely in for a good day. Definitely put him in your lineups if you can. Store him on your team. I still believe that from this point forward, he could definitely be a top 10 type tight end now that Brady is back. I thought that he would do more before, and you saw some of that in a game, I think, with Garoppolo. I'm not 100% positive, but he did have a good game. But then he had two clunkers. So I definitely think this week, Martellus Bennett, good play. All right, and then a little advice for Fanduel this week for the tight ends is do not play Reed and do not play Olsen. They both have tough matchups this week for teams against tight ends, and their price is just too high to justify it. So, they're good players. They're probably going to get the ball a bit, but like I said before with Julio, the price has to justify. If you could get a player at the price of Bennett and he scores, 15 points, but you get the price of Olsen and he scores 15 points, the more valuable player is actually Martellus Bennett because it allows you to free up more money to get better players, in other positions. So that's how you have to think of it. The price is too high for those guys, and I don't believe that they're going to score what they would normally score at that price. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions at all about what you've seen in this video, please feel free to leave a comment down below. If you have any suggestions about what I'm doing on this channel so far, please leave a comment down below. If you don't want to do any of that, you don't have to, because you could tweet me at BumsBlitz. My website is bumsblitz.com, and my Facebook is BumsBlitz Fantasy Football. I make it real easy for you. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do that. Just click the little red button down below, and while you're there, click the thumbs up. Give the video a little love because it deserves it. Anyways, until next time, I will see you guys later.